some news about Street Fighter and also some Dragon Slayer news and some Elden Ring news. So a lot of really cool things to talk about today. So let's get into some breaking news. As reported by The Hollywood Reporter, they found a director for the Dragon Slayer adaptation that's coming to Netflix. James Bowman is going to be singing Green Frogs to Fire-Breathing Green Dragon, which is a reference to the game Dragon Slayer, which was a super cool game that blew my mind when I was a kid in the arcade. There is this one machine that was playing a full-on animation, and I was so confused about how an arcade device could do that, because I lived in the arcade younger. I loved the arcades. Seeing this for the first time as a kid, I didn't understand. I was confused. I stared and I watched it over and over and over. The screen would just play the same kind of mini trailer repeatedly until someone went to play it, and I would just stand in front of it and watch it over and over, and I still couldn't understand how an arcade was playing an animation. I never actually played the game like ever once in my life, I don't think. James Bowman is the director of Disney's The Muppets and Muppets Most Wanted, and he's been in talks to direct the Dragon Slayer. Ryan Reynolds is producing the feature, which was first set up in 2020, also producing a royalty via his Vertigo Entertainment with Trevor Engelson of Underground. Don Bluth, Gary Goldman, and John Pamerai are also producing. Don Bluth is actually the animator, did the animation for the original games, someone who used to work with Disney and broke off and started his own animation company, and he released one of my favorites of that back in the day. It was The Secret of Nim. Love that movie, but he released a lot of great animated movies. Dragon Slayer was at one point the most popular game in America. It hit the scene in 1983 and promised to revolutionize the arcade industry with this movie-style animation that hailed from Bluth, who would later go on to direct the animated movies An American Tail, All Dogs Go to Heaven, among others, and its envelope-pushing technology that used Laserdisc to advance the story. Sadly, the tech and animated style didn't take off beyond a certain time period, although it remains fondly remembered by a certain generation. Game actually made an appearance some episode of The Stranger Things, which takes place in the 80s. The game's plot centered on a knight named Dirk the Daring, who must rescue the fetching Princess Daphne from the clutches of the evil dragon known as Singe and the wizard Mordrock. The tone seemed like a good fit for Bobbin, who balanced comedy, puppetry, music, and heart of the 2011 reboot of The Muppets after making Breaking Out. That's a weird way of writing it. And Bobbin also was part of The Flight of the Conchords, a comedy show from the mid-2000s. He also directed 2019's adventure movie Dora and the Lost City of Gold, tackle whimsy and later family fantasy with episodes of Disney series of Mysterious Benedict Society and Percy Jackson and the Olympians. So there we have it for Dragon Slayer. Very interesting, though still very early. We only just have a director. That will be a couple more years before you even see that come to light. In Street Fighter news, they found a director. Back in February, they announced that they found a director for the live-action Street Fighter film. A year or so ago, they announced that there was going to be an Australian twin filmmaking duo doing it, but I guess that did not happen. So now we have Kitayo Sakura, a filmmaker perhaps best known for his writing and directing, producing the Eric Andre show. I don't see how Eric Andre and Street Fighter connects. I didn't even think Eric Andre had any writing. If you've watched the show, it's just complete mayhem.
Bird up.
Legendary Entertainment's feature adaptation of the classic video game from Capcom. Legendary Entertainment is a big name. They make lots of great blockbuster movies. Capcom is deeply involved with the adaptation, of course, as they are the ones who created the games, as Legendary co-developing and co-producing alongside the video game developer and publisher. The film has a March 20 release date from Sony. One of the most enduring game franchises of all time. The series began in '87 with the original Street Fighter, then set a high and essentially brand new watermark for arcade fighting games in Street Fighter II. The game came out in 1991 and was the first to offer a choice of characters and fighting techniques, revolutionizing one-on-one play. Street Fighter VI, the latest game in the franchise, was released in June 2023 and won an award for Best Fighting Game of 2023. I remember vividly when Street Fighter 2 came out, and it was in every arcade everywhere. You could trip over a Street Fighter 2 arcade machine in like the bathroom or something.
I'm going to kick Bison's ass.
Hollywood has tried to tackle Street Fighter before with the infamous 90s version of a live-action film with Jean-Claude Van Damme. Did bomb, but it did also gain a cult following. I watched a documentary about making of this movie and how much of a disaster it was the entire time to film it. Van Damme was coked out of his skull the entire time. Anytime you see Van Damme on screen, just know that he's completely coked out of his mind.
And who wants to go with me?
Sakurai recently reteamed with Eric Andre for the comedy feature Bad Trip, which he co-wrote and directed. The Netflix movie also starred Tiffany Haddish and Lil Ray Harry. He also serves as executive producer of the second season of Beef for Netflix and A24 and directed the pilot and 7 episodes of the upcoming Amazon series Butterfly, starring Daniel Dae Kim. He also directed several episodes of Peacock's post-apocalyptic video game adaptation Twisted Metal. Okay, that's cool. That makes more sense. And Twisted Metal was way better than I was expecting, and I was so happy with how well that turned out. Even as someone who doesn't play Twisted Metal.
This is gonna be fun.
In more Hollywood Reporter news, Mr. MAGA 50 Cent himself joins Jason Momoa and Noah Centineo in Street Fighter. Officially, they have added 50 Cent to the cast, which is unfortunate because I despise anyone who's MAGA. MAGA is absolute trash. I kind of used to like 50 Cent, but as soon as I find out someone's MAGA, they can just fuck off forever. The rapper turned actor and entrepreneur has joined the eclectic cast of Street Fighter, Legendary's game feature adaptation of the video game. The call sheet ranges from A-lister Jason Momoa as Blanca, which is somewhat almost offensive. I'm not even sure how I feel about that. If you know what Blanca looks like, to heartthrob Noah Centineo as Ken, gay country singer Orville Peck as Vega. I don't know who those two people are. I have no idea who these people are. Joe Enoi, aka WWE superstar Roman Reigns, and martial artist actor Andrew Koji on the roll call as battler Akuma and lead character Ryu. Kalina Lang is playing Chun-Li. I pretty much don't know any of these actors. And if you've played Street Fighter, then you know what Blanca looks like. It's like some green, hunched over dude with orange hair. His power is like electricity. Okay, how are they going to do that live action with Jason Momoa? Because he's kind of a whack job in the games, and there's also a really awesome Street Fighter 2 anime film that's just like really good. He's in that, and he's kind of a wacky whack job. And also interesting that this Jason Momoa's second adaptation now, as he was in Minecraft, which came out earlier this year. Jax himself will be playing Balrog.
You shall not pass! Not that Balrog, dumbass.
A disgraced boxer who is also the bodyguard of the villain. Sources to say he is deep into training for the part and will be doing his own stunts for the picture. So they have only just starting production in Australia. The plot details so far are kept under wraps. And finally, the last piece of news today is about Alex Garland, who is directing the Elden Ring movie. And he's already doing something many other adaptations have failed to do. How so? This comes from a Collider article. There's a troubling trend with game to film adaptations. The people making them often haven't played the game they're adapting. Whether it's Halo, a showrunner who's famously admitted to skipping the games, or various other adaptations that don't treat the source material as the foundation they should. Audiences that love the games can usually tell when there's a disconnect between the heart of the games and what they translate onto the screen. This is what makes Alex Garland's involvement in A24's Elden Ring film so promising. He's on his 7th playthrough of the notoriously dense From Software title. I myself, I'm still on the first playthrough. Anyone who's touched Elden Ring knows that even a single run can demand dozens of hours, countless frustrating deaths at the hands of well-designed bosses, and a deep investment in a sprawling, dense world. For Garland to have returned to the lands between this number of times says something that inspires high hopes for the scripts he will write and how he'll direct. He's not only familiar with the games, he's obsessed with it. Ex Machina, he explored questions of artificial intelligence and identity through sparse environments and psychological tension. Annihilation, meanwhile, pushed further into surrealism with a decaying landscape that morphed with terrifying elegance. It's worth noting that Garland isn't a newcomer to the world of games. Before his directorial debut, he co-wrote Enslaved, Odyssey to the West, and DMC Devil May Cry, both gained praise for their distinct tones, themes, and storytelling. In short, Garland has already proven an understanding of narratives on a non-linear medium. The upcoming God of War series has also raised eyebrows, with early creative choices suggesting a focus on mainstream accessibility over the brutality and grief that define Kratos' journey. In contrast, Garland isn't adapting Elden Ring purely because it's trending and will pull in audiences. Garland's involvement seems to come from a place of familiarity. He spent hundreds of hours agonizing over the lore and defeating bosses, falling in love with this world, despite or perhaps because of how little it explains. That kind of obsession matters when approaching a franchise like this. It means that when Garland writes about Radahn or Melania, not that one, he won't be regurgitating lore from a wiki page. He'll be pulling it from his own experience. There's still a long road ahead for Elden Ring his theaters. The film was only announced earlier this year and remains undated, but even in its infancy, Garland's investment gives the film credibility that most game adaptations lack. It's not about getting the armor right or referencing a boss. It's about understanding the feeling of being one step away from death, or staring at a shattered skyline, unsure of whether to press forward or turn back. In a genre full of projects that feel more like marketing and money-making opportunities than artistic undertakings, Garland's Elden Ring could be a rarity, an adaptation that understands the assignment, and not just because someone has taken the time to explain it to him. He knows it because he's lived it behind the controller, or keyboard and mouse, depending on the platform he plays on. I don't know. He strikes me as a PC guy. I'm a console guy, but Garland strikes me as a PC guy. Not really sure why, that's just what the vibe I'm getting. But there you have it, folks. Some nice news pieces for the week. I haven't made a weekly roundup video in a while, and I'm sure all 5 of you watching this are so upset about that. But a lot of really interesting news. I'm excited to hear more about the Street Fighter. Even though I haven't played Street Fighter in a million years, I really loved it as a kid, and I was a big fighter when I had my SNES. It was my favorite genre. So Street Fighter 2 coming out on home console was a huge deal. Back then, when you couldn't really tell the difference, it looked exactly like the arcade to me. So I hope when this finally comes out, that it's going to be good. I think it will be. They just seem to be making way better decisions now, finally, with who to write and direct. Having Alex Garland as a writer-director makes lots of sense. If you know the games, then you'll probably see what I'm saying. Maybe you don't agree, but directors like that are the kind of people that should be directing these adaptations. If you're watching this, comment below on any of the pieces of information I just dropped. But also, don't forget to take a moment to subscribe just to help me out, because it would be helping me out big time. Don't forget to like and to share. Don't forget to keep stinking gaming like Matt Damon.